Listen, this might sound crazy, but some games get way better after you hit the 100-hour mark. If you're looking to sink a lifetime into a video game, these are the games that only get better after way too many hours of playing it. Starting off at number 10 with an obvious one, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree. Now, we've played Elden Ring collectively here at gameranx for more than 300 hours, and we still haven't seen everything this game has to offer. There's a depth here you won't find in many other games. The weapons, the magic, the weird character builds, and self-imposed challenges, and of course, all the insane over-the-top mods. And the best part of Elden Ring is after you've played for more than 100 hours, man, once you've fully experienced the lands between, then you'll want to delve into the expansion, which is everything we love about the main game, but better. The bosses are weirder. The dungeons are crazier. There are surprises around every corner of the Land of Shadow. There are secrets we wouldn't find after hundreds of hours of exploring. Shadow of the Erdtree throws transforming swords you can change at hidden thrones, and secret companions you can summon by dropping into hidden towers, all from even more hidden lost villages. If you thought exploring the original map was fun, Shadow of the Erdtree introduces so many more rewards for carefully searching the new expansion environment. You can find unique bosses against NPCs with armor or weapons that make totally new builds viable. Want to be a bear man in a bear costume that kind of uses bear magic? Well, you can do that in Shadow of the Erdtree. Maybe you want to be a weird mage with fingers growing out of your stomach and you summon finger magic all day? Yes, that is also a thing. The best and worst part of Shadow of the Erdtree is that even after 100 hours of playing the original game, this expansion will still kick your butt. None of the other games on our list actually get more difficult after this much time. This is the only one that keeps piling up the challenges until it feels like there's no way to make the game even more difficult, and then it hits you with the final boss of the expansion, a boss so difficult some players gave up. To those that reach the mountaintop of Elden Ring, we're going to tell you, keep trying, keep going, keep failing, keep trying new things. It might take 300 hours, but the challenges of Elden Ring and Shadow of the Erdtree combined won't look so difficult eventually. Now, next at number 9, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth takes the Yakuza formula and basically puts it on steroids. This isn't even the longest game in the series, but it's also the wackiest, and the wackiness is what makes it even better after 100 hours of slogging through some JRPG battles. The main story is fun and weird in all the ways Yakuza games are fun and weird, but it's the extra game modes that turn this into a treat for longtime fans with a lot of patience. After finishing the main story, which by itself can take up to 100 hours, you'll want to circle back and then replay the 2 major side quests in the story. And in our opinion, that's some of the best stuff in the game. That's when it takes off. There are 2 side stories in Infinite Wealth, Dondoko Island and Sujimon League. Dondoko Island is a chill business simulation where you build your own resort island from scratch, you're constructing cabins for guests and keeping the island clean in the style of kind of Animal Crossing. It's weird. Every day, new guests and trash appear on the island, and by earning cash and completing objectives, you'll unlock new sections of this island to build and explore. It's kind of like a tycoon game, but you'll have to fight pirates with a baseball bat. Yes, it is still a Yakuza game. This is a great way to earn a ridiculous amount of money. For most of Infinite Wealth, your wealth is actually hardly infinite. You're scrounging for the rare dollar bill in trash bans. Dondoko Island turns you into like an idle game millionaire, and we'd play this silly thing anytime, even if it wasn't attached to a giant JRPG adventure. And that isn't even the weirdest activities. You'll want to experience the Sujimon League. In this bizarre parody of Pokemon, you collect losers and freaks and other assorted weirdos for gladiatorial combat. So collecting a team of mud-covered men and robots and other psychos is just a joy we'll never really get tired of. There are multiple tiers of opponents to beat all across Hawaii, all leading to a high-stakes tournament tournament that'll take dozens of hours to beat all by itself. And those are two small activities in the grand scheme of what is already a big game. We've talked about Yakuza 3 on a separate older list, but this game is everything that game has, but like multiplied and made sillier and spread over dozens of more hours. The main story is great, but it's everything else that makes Like a Dragon a game that gets better after 100 hours.
I choose you! Time to die! Yeah! Run him down!
Now, next at number 8, it's been a good few years for the infinitely replayable RPGs, and obviously Baldur's Gate 3 is the ruling champion when it comes to extreme detail. This is a game that only gets better the more you understand its many intricate systems and hidden gear. Every painstakingly decorated map is packed with hidden goodies to find, and in the world of Baldur's Gate 3, there is no useless loot, kind of. Magic items are rarely better than standard gear, but they'll have a special effect you won't find anywhere else. That makes every little discovery important. Maybe you'll find a ring that turns you invisible, or like an arrow that lets you teleport anywhere you shoot it. There's so many wild ways to interact with the world in Baldur's Gate 3 that a single playthrough is not enough. It's not even close, man. Beating Baldur's Gate 3 is just the start of the fun for some of us. Once you've taken down the campaign, replaying and learning how to completely break the story is a rare treat. You can ruin everything by siding with the goblins right in Act 1 and destroying the refugee camp, recruiting the evil drow assassin Minthara, or becoming romantically intertwined with the squid-face emperor of the Illithids.
What I didn't anticipate was how much I would enjoy your company, your mind.
Breaking the game is almost as much fun as learning to play it, and that's something that we can only do after playing for 100 hours or more. How about collecting explosive barrels to easily defeat some of the hardest bosses in the game? We blew up Balthazar, and we're not even sorry. There's just so much you can do here. I could go on, but let's move on. Next, over at number 7, roguelikes benefit from constantly replaying, and The Binding of Isaac is one of those games that truly offers like infinite possibilities, at least once you've played a very long time. So before The Binding of Isaac gets really fun, you'll need to unlock a load of extra weapons and other random junk that only appears in your randomly generated dungeon on later playthroughs. So the further you go and more times you beat the final boss, the more stuff unlocks. And there's another big barrier to the fun of Binding of Isaac. You need to learn what everything does. Items from the original game could give big benefits or cause terrible afflictions, and both had their uses when combined in just the right way. Learning what all the items actually do on your first playthroughs of the game, expect to have the wiki open on your phone. This is really part of the fun, but also part of the frustration. When you've discovered what treasure chests are worth your time and how to find secrets that lead to cooler locations and reach the bottom tiers of the dungeon with your most overpowered combos, that's when the game really starts to get fun. And it might take almost 100 hours to get into that groove. Next, over at number 6, playing Skyrim for 100 hours is honestly like a gamer rite of passage. Everyone has to do it. And once you've exhausted every dungeon, finished every quest, and collected every Daedric artifact, you'll probably be around the 100-hour mark or so. Replaying is fun and experimenting with builds is great, but when the wonder of the world is gone, Skyrim does lose a little bit of its luster. This is what mods are for. After finishing vanilla Skyrim, the real Skyrim experience can begin. There are mods that make you fly, that update the graphics, or add entirely new fan-created campaigns to the open world.
Malphas who carries the Sun Temple on his back. Isn't that a gesture of servitude?
Returns to her position.
Honestly, at this point, a decade in now, mods are an integral part of the Skyrim experience, and you can do so much more with mods. Build entire new villages, customize a fancy companion, experience a story that's just all around kind of better than Skyrim. Total conversion mods like Enderall add new maps, weapons, enemies, and quests to Skyrim. This mod was so successful it went on to become a standalone game on Steam. And it's one you might not have heard of, but if you're hungry for more Skyrim, it's literally just a more refined version of an already great game. Now over at number 5, how do we not talk about Minecraft? Our previous list of games didn't even cover like one of the biggest elephants in the room ever. Does Minecraft even need explaining at this point? Do we need to tell everyone that Minecraft gets better after 100 hours? It seems like a patently obvious statement for the initiated because Minecraft isn't just a survival game. The magic of Minecraft is its simplicity. Anyone can build a house in Minecraft. And the fun of Minecraft is escaping your lowly beginnings and building your masterpiece, you know, your magnum opus, one block at a time. Minecraft scratches the same itch as games like City Skylines or Planet Coaster, you know, games that just hand you a set of tools and tell you to start building. The world of Minecraft is an empty canvas, and one of the most fun ways to experience the game is by playing with friends and like working together to create a whole community, you know, like do like your own imagined adventures. That kind of fun takes time and a lot of dedication, but the things players build together can be truly astounding. I mean, you've probably seen some crazy stuff, right? And Minecraft has all the mods, literally. All the Mods 10, a thing recently released by the community, collects a whole bunch of mods with its own built-in challenges and animated tutorials to explain all the aspects of these new systems that they put into the game. Our favorite has to be Mine Colonies, where you can construct your very own themed society with NPC workers. You don't even need to do the building anymore. You can actually let all your little buddies do the work for you, and it's just cool. There's so much to this game. Now down at number 4, Dragon's Dogma 2 is a game that slowly builds up steam over its 100-hour campaign, you know? It's doling out skills and new job classes as you progress, and by the end of the game, you'll have dozens of skills to choose from and lots of gear to become fashionable with, and have a pawn that actually kind of understands how the world works. Replaying Dragon's Dogma 2 and starting from the beginning for another cycle is honestly one of our favorite activities recently. Now you know where to get the most valuable stuff, which giant monsters to avoid, and which ones to hunt earlier. It's especially good if you're playing with the new PS5 Pro settings that make the world look better and run more smoothly than ever before. Dragon's Dogma 2 on PS5 Pro has been pretty cool. And the biggest reason you'll want to keep playing after 100 hours, well, the Warfarer vocation. So this unique endgame job lets you use every armor type, every weapon, and every job skill in the game. So suddenly you'll go from having a handful of skills to dozens at your disposal at like any given time. You can be an archer and a warrior at the same time. You can equip a staff for their useful floating jump and their healing magic without wasting a skill slot. With the Warfarer, your options become unlimited like right at the start of the game, making exploration and like the monster fighting and questing and everything just a whole lot more fun. And you'll have full access to all the endgame gear at the Dragon Shrine, so you won't need to reach the end of the game to get your class-specific ultimate outfit. Just basically getting this class turns Dragon's Dogma 2 into a game that's all about hunting dragons instead of running away from them. Now down to number 3, when it comes to MMOs that take hundreds of hours to get good, Final Fantasy XIV is definitely the undisputed king. We've talked about Final Fantasy XIV before, so we're getting personal with the second round of selections. There's one game from a lot of our childhoods here at gameranx that we've sunk hundreds, maybe even almost 1,000 hours into, and it's still available today. City of Heroes died way back in 2012, but has since been revived by fans with private servers. City of Heroes Homecoming now is an officially sanctioned revival of the awesome, fan-favorite, beloved superhero MMO, giving players the full experience here, with a few tweaks that actually make dumping hundreds of hours into the game even easier. This is because our favorite aspect of City of Heroes survived. In the game, you're allowed to get really creative with how you create your hero, and the game continues to persist with costume contests where players show off their design skills. But our favorite part of the game had to be the bases. By creating your own supergroup, you gain access to a little space that players could infinitely customize. And we made bases to socialize, hang out, tell stories, show off stuff with your friends, and even create an entire villainous island for a role-playing expedition. Not only were there like bases to build, but players can design their own storylines by customizing missions with their own villain groups. You can create enemies, you can set their powers, you can let loose with these epic battles that are far more difficult than anything in the base game. Getting to level 50 is really just the start of City of Heroes. The real fun, man, like I said, is making your own adventures. Now down at number 2, Total Warhammer 3. It's not just a single game. To get the best possible experience, you're going to want to combine all three. Any Total War game belongs on our list, but none of them have the absolutely insane breadth of content as the Warhammer series. Each army is intricately modeled with their own grand strategy mechanics and tactical units for a totally different experience. Playing each army is a game in itself. Playing as High Elves is different from playing Orcs, and that's different from playing the Empire. It would literally take hundreds of hours to really experience them all, but like the real fun of Total Warhammer, Warhammer 3, is the Immortal Empires map.
In range! Great swords! Soldiers of the Empire! By the gods!
War! Yes!
That's the true pot of gold waiting at the end of this, like, 100-hour rainbow. The Immortal Empires map is like this giant-sized campaign that combines all the content from Warhammer 1, 2, and 3. So if you own all three, you'll be able to fight factions, species, armies from all three games, all in like this single super turbo campaign map that covers the entire fantasy world. A standard military campaign in a Total War game takes, 20, 40 hours of turn-based civilization building and real-time combat. The Immortal Empires is like that times a bajillion. This is like the end-all be-all campaign for any die-hard Warhammer weirdo fan, and an insane reward for dedicated players of the series. Who knows how Developer Creative Assembly actually managed to cram all this into a single game as a free update? I don't know, but we're really glad they did. It's cool. It's like the best part of an already amazing game. Now down at number 1, the last game on our list is also the newest. Now we've been barely able to squeeze more than a couple hundred hours of collective playtime here in Stalker 2, but the writing is on the wall. This is one game that seems like it gets a whole lot better once you've figured out how the world really works, even if it's a little glitchy still. Like the original Stalker games, this is just a hardcore shooter with Byzantine systems designed to exhaust you and perplex you and stress you out and kill you over and over again. Stalker 2 is a game made for pro tip lists because it barely explains anything to you. This is a game that just hands you a rusty, broken AK-47 that breaks every time you try and use it, and then it just tells you, good luck, go survive in this world full of killer bandits and mutants and radiation. And it's a whole lot more fun when you stop sinking and start swimming. When you know where to get artifacts that are actually useful and don't just like kill you with radiation poisoning, or where to get guns you can keep for the entire game, suddenly you're sprinting ahead instead of walking through like the ankle-deep video game mud. Knowing what's worth doing, what's worth skipping, and how to manage all the complicated systems that dictate whether you're going to have a good time or not is why Stalker 2 is probably only going to get better with a whole lot of experience under your belt, This is like one of the hardest core single-player shooters if you're brave enough to play on higher difficulties especially. The longer you play, the more you'll get to enjoy community patches and inevitable mods that might just drastically improve your gameplay experience. Like, if we're talking about anything, knowing the original Stalker games, that's probably going to happen here, so 100 hours is probably easy. Stalker 2 is flawed, and it's not a game for everyone, but it's a game that gets better the more you understand its deadly world, and it's a game that we think we're probably easily going to be playing for years and years to come. So those are 10 games that only get better after, believe it or not, 100 hours of gameplay. There are still plenty of other games out there. I think everybody has their own weird 100-hour plus game. Maybe even if it's a game not designed for 100 hours plus. Whatever you have for us, let us know in the comments. Now, if you like this video and you like talking video games with us every day, clicking the like button is all you gotta do. It really helps us out. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.